All right, good morning. Welcome to Rankin County Board of Supervisors. I'm going to call this Board of Supervisors meeting to order. We're going to hold off on our Planning Commission and pick it up after the public comments where these people don't have to wait for us to go through our Planning Commission. Ask Craig, will you pray for us?
Let's pray.
Thank you, sir.
Lord God, we thank you for the authority that you have given these gentlemen to conduct the business of the county. Father, the skills that you've given them, the abilities that you've given them, the willingness to come to serve their community. I thank you for their families, Lord, the sacrifice so that they can do what they do. Give them the wisdom and the discernment that they need today, and help them as they deliberate, as they make decisions. Help those decisions to be in conformity with your will, to be pleasing to you, and to be representative of the good that can be done all across this community for every citizen in our community. We thank you, Lord, for our time together in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. All right, we are now in our Board of Supervisors meeting, and I want to go right into public comments. Let me preface that. You are welcome to come speak. This is your time to make a public comment to the board and whoever else is here or watching. Be respectful of everybody's time because we have a pretty big agenda today. Let's try to limit it to 3-5 minutes at the most. And let's just see who's first. Angela English. Come on up, ma'am. If you would, state your name and address.
Good morning. I'm Angela English. I'm the president of the Rankin County branch of the NAACP, and I'm here on behalf of the members of the NAACP, members of the community that are tax-paying citizens. I'm also here in solidarity with the state NAACP and the national NAACP. And my address is I'm a native Rankin County, born, raised here, lived here all my life, helped to integrate the school system. And I live in Rankin County, and that's about all I'm going to say about where I live.
We've got a mailing address for you.
All right, thank you. I'm not going to hold you long. We all are aware of the sadistic and heinous crimes that were committed by the former Rankin County sheriff's deputies and one other police officer from Richland. And what we are here for today is to just cut straight to the chase, is to formally announce that we are asking for the resignation of the current sheriff of Rankin County, who is Mr. Brian Bailey. That is why I'm here today, to formally, officially announce that we are asking for that. The reasons why are spelled out in a letter that I'm going to give to the secretary or to you all. Who will I give it to? Okay, all right. I'm going to give her, all of these are letters that have been signed by the taxpayers of Rankin County. As you can see, there are quite a lot. Of course, I know there are over 156,000 taxpayers in Rankin County, so that's not 156,000 papers. Our request is because we believe that he was negligent in performing duties of his supervision of his employees, that there was a lack of supervision of his officers, which caused physical and mental harm to others while in Rankin County Sheriff's Officer's custody. There's a lack of accountability and transparency in his policies and procedures concerning hiring and firing practices, inadequate training in the use of firearms and tasers by his officers, the use of excessive force, unnecessary force, unlawful searches, and discriminating policies, poor policies concerning body cameras, and that list could go on, but in lieu of time, and because there are others here that have their own concerns, I won't proceed any further with that. We would love to reconcile. We would love to heal. We are just like you. We are just appalled at what has taken place. It's tantamount to a modern day lynching. It's a hate crime, but I realized while all these people were coming to me with their concerns that it wasn't just a black thing. There have been white people who have been hurt. There have been other ethnicities who have been hurt. So this is not a black issue, a black and white issue. It's a human civil rights issue. And therefore, that brings us, the NAACP, into play. So what we would like is for you all, we know that he's an elected official, just like you all are elected officials. We know you can't fire him. I was not present at the other meeting where the lady got up and said she wanted him fired. I understand she was upset. And if that could happen, we probably would have asked you to fire him. But we know that he's an elected official. And so you have no control over that. We also know he's running unopposed. So what we would like is for you to join us in wanting the best for Rankin County. We know you want the best for Rankin County. You wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have been elected if people didn't feel like you wanted the best for Rankin County. Right now, Brian Bailey is not the best for Rankin County. We stand as taxpayers to lose millions of dollars. It could even bankrupt Rankin County. And I know you're saying, how is that possible? We got lots of money. When people start filing litigations and they win, you can easily become bankrupt. And because of that, because of we can't reconcile under these conditions with a person who has turned a blind eye. There's no way in the world you're going to make us believe that as long as he worked with these people, he couldn't figure out that they had some mental problems, because some of this is mental. Now, as long as I worked, and I taught for 35 and a half years, half of it, more than half of it was college. About 95% of it was college. The rest was high school. I could tell you which teachers were off. You know what I meant by off. It didn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out. I could tell when people were not treating the students fairly and come to their rescue. So we can't work with the same person. That's insanity. It's doing the same thing over and over, hoping for a different result. So we can't work with him, but we want to reconcile. And the only way we can reconcile is with new people in place. So we are asking the United States Department of Justice, who is still investigating, to do a consent order and take over the system, the whole Rankin County Sheriff's Department, including the jail, and whatever is necessary to restore order, dignity, and humility back to this county, to do so, and please do it as expediently as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. English. All right, next, Joe Brazil. Welcome, Joe. Would you state your name and your address?
Joe Brazil, 117 Evans Ridge Drive, Brandon, Mississippi, 39047.
Thank you, sir. If you would make your comments and just the same, try to keep them 3 to 5
Okay, you might
minutes.
want to, I'm kind of wordy sometimes, so you might
All right,
want to.
I'll do this. I'll point
We'll
it.
ring a bell.
Okay.
First of all, thank
got it.
y'all for showing up. It's an honor to stand before all of y'all. And Mr. Gaines, I appreciate as my representative that was like that. This gentleman, when I contacted him, the next day, his office contacted me. And this is way more than I got from the sheriff's office, and way more than I got from the Attorney General's office. I have not, let me, now with that said, I appreciate
Yes,
what
sir.
you did for me. I was on an Alaskan cruise when I arrived back, the caregiving cruise to help people with Alzheimer's and things like that. And when I arrived back, I read in the Meridian Star this horrendous action taken by the Rankin County Sheriff's Office deputies. Now, let me preface this that there are fine officers in this community, fine dignitaries and representatives of our government for whom I'm grateful. We live in a safe community. Yet, from the time I moved here, approximately 2008, due to complications with my wife having Alzheimer's, it's another story. I have had issues with the Rankin County deputies. Now, try to understand that when you're dealing with somebody with Alzheimer's, sometimes you can't really just take the next step. So when you approach law enforcement or officials, some of this stuff is unbelievable. You would not believe what they've done. If I were to tell you, now, you would say right now, if I said this is oh Joe, this is hearsay. I'm telling you, this is not necessarily hearsay. It's unfathomable what has occurred here. This takes us back to Nazi Germany. It's not just on the surface that you could say, when you call the sheriff's office and you approach them. I will say Jason Dare, and I did talk to the office there. Don't get me wrong. They were respectful to me. I have written both the sheriff's office and the representative of the Attorney General's office some letters, but what I want to say is that when I approached their office, I said, well, you need to just take everything to the FBI. Well, okay, well, why do I have to take it to the FBI? It's not a state's, it's not a federal issue at this point. It's a state, really, it's a community rights issue versus then going up to a state's rights issue. When I say rights, what I mean is that we've entrusted these gentlemen here to ensure that we have the best law enforcement that we can afford and we can implement, and we are safe. However, when you have things that have been going on, not just since January, this has been going on since decades. For example, I did ask Mr. Dare about the age of this particular gentleman, 52 years old. I'm not going to say his name. And I asked him, how long did his career with Rankin County start? Well, my guess is that he did not change. I think it started maybe when he first was able to join this force. Now, do tell, how long do you really think this has been going on in our county? What? Pardon? Yeah, what I want to say is, so this runs deep. It runs deeper than what's on the surface. Those who are to protect and serve have been serving a brand of justice that is outside the boundaries of human dignity and decency. They have violated my family on more than one occasions over the years, and therefore that's why I'm here seeking intervention in this matter. A number of these incidents are documented in my book that I wrote. So it's not hearsay. One of my sons told me that they would testify, and I'll give you an example. There was a person, as you mentioned, not quite of all mental, where the hearsay was, to get a confession, they wrapped Christmas tree lights around them, and whenever they wouldn't answer the right way, they turned them on. Now, who would possibly believe that? But if you look at what's written in Jackson Jambalaya article, or if you look at some of the news media, you'll find that that may not be so far-fetched when you really think about what's going on. So I did mention Jason Dare, attorney. I believe he's attorney for the sheriff, and we've established communication and good rapport. And in short, I'm going to provide a copy of my letter to you and to the Attorney General. And so during the conversation, here's why I'm here. During our conversation, I made suggestions of merit. This then is why I'm writing. My suggestion that there should be an investigation going as far back and as long ago as these officers were carrying a badge. You know, one apple spoils the whole, one rotten apple spoils the whole. Osmosis, that's what I'm getting at. The behavior began at some point and cultivated. In short, there are those incarcerated over these years due to the said injustices of those who are innocent. In other words, planted evidence. How many of those, has anybody asked the question, how many are incarcerated now or have been banished from this county because of planted evidence? This is your responsibility. You were on watch. Some of you were on watch during this time. And I'm asking for an investigation of those people that have been incarcerated due to this kind of behavior. And some of the things that I could say, listen, I agree with this young lady behind me.
Sir, try to wrap it up.
Okay, I'm gonna wrap it
We're
up.
over
So,
5 minutes.
so this is a mess that must be cleared up, and justice is required in a swift manner. I do not think that we should just put it all to, oh, well, these men are being put in jail and that kind of thing, but let's dig deeper and find out and try to rectify some of these things that have been going on. And there are people in prison, in jail, in tarnished reputation, and even PSTD that needs to be managed and taken care of.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Brazil. Let's see. Craig,
Is there anybody else that wants to speak on the sheriff's situation? Anybody?
okay, thank you.
Mr. President, this may be a good opportunity to share with the board just as a reminder, and also with members of the public, as a way of establishing precisely what is the process when there are calls for a county elected official to be removed from office. Exactly what is that process? And part of this is to help folks understand when they come here to the Board of Supervisors and they make comments or statements and calls for the removal of a county elected official, they need to understand that they are directing their comments and their calls to the wrong body, to the wrong place. State law is very clear about this. There are really only a very few ways that a county elected official can be removed from office. There's a very limited scope. The very best way that a county elected official is removed from office is called an election. We have them every 4 years. And that is the process by which our citizenry can decide whether or not a particular county elected official is qualified, is doing a good job, should be placed back into the position for an additional 4-year term. And that's the number one way that a county elected official is removed from office. They are defeated in an election. Obviously, that's not going to be possible under the current circumstances because the county elected official who's being discussed today does not have an opponent. And that's just simply by virtue of our election laws that requires an opponent to qualify for an election at a given point in time, and that did not happen. And so we are faced with the reality that our number one way to remove a county elected official is not available to us under the current circumstances. There are other ways, however. Another way that a county elected official can be removed from office is that they voluntarily remove themselves. So a county elected official can come forward and say, I no longer wish to serve in this position, and I am notifying the Board of Supervisors that there will be a vacancy in this position. That's another way that it can happen voluntarily. A county elected official could die. They could get sick to the point where they can't carry out their functions, and that would create a vacancy. But outside of a voluntary vacancy created by the decision of the county elected official or by circumstances that affect that county elected official, this board has no action available to it. You have no action available to it. Mr. President, I would like for you to instruct the members of our audience that the public comment is over and that I am addressing the board with matters that the board needs before it so that it understands what its role and responsibility is.
Okay.
So
Everybody heard that. Let's let Mr. Slay speak. We try not to interrupt other people when they were speaking. Thank you.
So outside of a voluntary removal by the elected official of themselves or circumstances that affect them, there is no vacancy in office. Your action occurs, this board's legal authority to act occurs when there is a vacancy in the position. I read from Mississippi Code Annotated 25.5.1. This is the third way that an elected official can be removed. They are convicted of a disqualifying felony. That hasn't happened. Not in these circumstances, not in prior circumstances involving other county elected officials has that happened. A conviction of a disqualifying felony is an automatic removal, and it creates a vacancy, and that triggers this board's responsibility to act at that point. I read from 25.5.3. So outside of a voluntary removal, outside of a conviction for a disqualifying felony, what happens? What happens? Who is responsible to oversee the process of an involuntary removal of a county elected official under other circumstances? The governor. The governor is hereby empowered in accordance with the provisions of Section 139 of the Mississippi Constitution through the procedure set forth in this statute that I'm reading from, for the reasons and causes set forth, to remove any county office or official. The governor is empowered. This board does not have the power to remove any county elected official. You can't do it. The governor. How does the governor do it? The governor first receives a petition that has been filed in accordance with the statute, and that petition has to meet certain requirements. A petition has to be filed in accordance with Mississippi Code Annotated 25.5.7. Before the governor shall consider the removal from county office of any elective county officer, there shall be first filed with him a petition signed by not less than 30% of the qualified electors of said county, demanding removal of said officer. A petition signed by 30% of the qualified electors of the county is filed not with this board, with the governor. And then after that, the petition has to be certified, gone over, the signatures have to be checked. All of that process has to be enacted and conducted. Once that's done, it triggers the governor then to make specific findings, and he does that with the help of others that he will appoint to review the facts and circumstances for the request for the removal. The governor. So my hope is that those in attendance here, our esteemed friends in the media, start paying attention to what the statutes say about who is responsible for this. Hopefully that's helpful. I hope it's helped you guys.
Thank you, Craig. I would like to say, I've been in this office nearly 2 terms. I had a career in law enforcement, federal law enforcement, as a special agent. I know a few of the Rankin County Sheriff's deputies and sheriffs. I do not socialize with really any of them. I'm probably the closest to Daniel, who is, I think, a deputy and a fireman. The ones that I know, this guy's sitting right here. I have great respect for. I know some white guys and some black guys, and they're friends of mine. It hurts me. I was surprised. In my 7.5 years, no one has called me or wrote me or whatever and made accusations. And which I don't socialize a lot. I have a ranch and I do my job as a supervisor. I would like for us not to pick sides at this time. I think the investigation is ongoing. I think it's been speedy already. There's almost no cases that I've heard of or worked in federal law enforcement where a crime occurred and within 8-9 months you have pleas. So I want to say we are Rankin County. Let's support our Justice Department. And at the end, I want us all to be Rankin County. And I'm sorry this happened. I believe the sheriff is sorry this happened. Let's respect our law enforcement and not let a few bad apples ruin everything. Okay, I'm through. I'd like to move on. I feel like I'm about to get emotional.
Steve, if we can recess out of the regular meeting.
Yes, sir.
Go back to planning commission, that would be what we've done today. It's motion recess and open planning.
All right, I will,
I'll make that motion.
all right. Second, all right. Jared makes the motion to recess and go into our planning commission. Jay seconds. All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. I'm gonna call, the planning commission meeting to order. Thank you, people, for coming.
Thank you all. Thank y'all.
I make a motion to approve minutes from August 3rd.
I'll second.
All right, Jay makes a motion to approve the minutes. Jared seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes. All right. Let me switch. Yep, I got it. We have a motion to approve old business.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
What do we
There
have?
is
Any
no
old
We don't have any
business.
old business.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't have any old business.
All
Let's
right.
skip on
We'll approve
to
that
new
old business.
considerations.
All right, good morning. The first item, under the new considerations is a rezoning request by Matt Coulon at 1301 Old Fannin Road. This property is located on the east side of Old Fannin. Mr. Coulon is seeking to rezone this .16 acre parcel from P1 to C3. That's an aerial view of the property. There's an existing building on the property. And then this is the zoning map. The purple area shows C3 zoning that's in place. The red is C2, and then that pink color is the P1. Let's go back. So the farmer's market this property is just to the east of the farmer's market, and then the car lot is north of this location. The car lot was rezoned to C3 in 2010, and the farmer's market was rezoned to C3 in 22. So this is the existing 2-unit office building on the property. Mr. Coulon plans to use one of the units as an office space for his business, and then if the property is rezoned to C3, Ahmad Duais is seeking a conditional use permit to operate a medical cannabis dispensary in the other unit. These are views of that property on Old Fannin. You can see the car lot, farmer's market. And Mr. Coulon's application states that that driveway adjacent to Old Fannin Road will be converted from gravel to a hard surface. These are views of surrounding properties. And Mr. Coulon wasn't able to attend today, but Mr. Duais is here if you have any questions related to the rezoning. I've got some more information on the conditional use permit to follow.
We checked our proximities, have we looked at the distances on this?
to churches or.
Residents?
Yeah, the ones that
We didn't do anything on residences now.
We didn't put that in the
wasn't
reg,
in there.
remember?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, do we have proximity issues or anything else, Renee, that we know of?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
And it's right now, it's zone P1,
It is.
and kind of just tell us what P1.
P1 is for professional offices, per se.
It's fine.
You
And he
can-
wants to be changed to what?
He wants to change to C3.
Which is,
Just like
Not general commercial, it's major thoroughfares commercial.
what the, I guess, automotive and the
farmer's market, yeah.
Jay, if you remember, we had it C2 for a while. I think, Renee, correct me if I'm wrong, we had those adjacent parcels were C2 for a while.
They were,
And we gave them conditional uses so that they could have outside storage. It became very obvious as,
Right.
especially as Old Fannin got widened and the traffic counts got up to, good Lord, it's probably one of the most highly trafficked roads in the county. It's clearly a major thoroughfare, so the decision was made by this board to move those C2s to C3 to better conform to exactly how the land uses were there. So this is immediately adjacent. It's a part of the same development.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say one thing on the situation here. I'll make a motion to set the public hearing, but Daniel is against putting medical marijuana areas near our subdivisions.
Is this a,
And,
We're gonna
and
set it
having said that,
Next paragraph.
one of my concerns on the whole thing, when we move these other things to C3, is I'm against having those facilities close to our residents, neighborhoods, and things of that nature, right? So when we went that route the last time, that was my argument, which was the reason I voted against the C3 conversion of the other one, I guess, a year or so ago, however long that was. But I'll be glad to set the
Let's just
public hearing.
let's don't, if you feel that way, I feel
Well,
that way.
I got outvoted last time.
I don't-
You know what I'm saying? My point is, I'm totally fine setting a public hearing and having a discussion from the people on
Okay.
it.
Well,
But
I'm,
that's just Daniel's thoughts on the
I
medical,
feel like we're
medical
wasting
marijuana
time
stuff.
and
so.
paper. I mean, I know what you're
But
saying.
there may be 3 other votes that say, hey,
You're right.
we like medical marijuana at the reservoir. You know, so
Well,
I don't
it's
know.
I don't like it with this neighborhood, with any neighborhood.
How close is it to the neighborhood?
1,000 yards? 1,000 yards maybe? Right through the back of those trees?
1,000 yards.
Maybe at the most.
All right.
So.
Well, let's set it. We'll do
That would
that
be
in
I'm
the
next
next
fine.
paragraph.
I don't have a problem making. I guess it goes down to set the public hearing, so we can wait.
Right.
So we'll wait it to the next item,
Yeah,
right?
we'll set them in the next
It's
section.
number 1 for setting the public hearing there, and I'm
Across
fine
the
on
street
setting the
from
public
that.
hearing to hear the discussions from the public, but
Okay.
that's
Alright.
just Daniel's views.
Thank you. Renee, let's go to 2.
Okay.
I think 2 was with that one.
That is, 2 is the conditional use permit for Ahmad Duais at 1301 Old Fannin Road. Again, it's the same property, the .16 acre parcel there. And if the if the zoning change goes through, then you would consider the conditional use
Hey,
permit.
Ms. Renee, let me ask you this. Isn't there another one of these that's been approved by the board directly across the street?
It is, near there across the street, yes.
So we already have
opposite
one,
side.
so we already have one directly across the, now I think it's further up, because that was up there near the boat place, wasn't it? Where was that at, Jay?
It
It is,
is.
it's down closer to Spillway.
Yes, but so it's within 2,000 yards of this spot, right? I mean, we're still,
I don't know about the
Half a mile.
distance.
It's a little further.
4 liquor stores in there.
Yeah, it's a little further.
okay.
Okay.
But we do
uh,
have one right there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
So-
there's not one there yet, but
It's
we've
been approved to
it.
do
Yeah,
it.
that's
I got
right.
you.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right.
Mr. Duay submitted this
That's the
rendering
one
of what the building
that's
will
in
look
the-
like,
River Chase, right?
Yeah.
you know, with the new parking area and everything shown. This is his floor plan, just showing the layout. And then this is what the interior would look similar to. He's here today if you have questions for him. I would like for him to
No.
address any questions you have.
I don't have any questions.
We could do it all at public hearing, if that's the case, so.
All right.
Next.
Okay, so the next item is a rezoning request for Bright Properties on Holly Bush Road. They're seeking, they're seeking to rezone 1.69 acres from P1 to C2. That's an aerial view of the property. They're proposing construction of a 9,872 square foot modular building with 4 to 6 lease spaces. This is the zoning map. And so they adjoin C3 to the west. And then on the right, that parcel is zoned P1.
And what are they currently?
They are P1 and they want to go to C2.
Okay.
So that modular building with the lease spaces will be used for retail. This is the site plan. It shows one entrance onto Holly Bush where they'll enter and exit the property. The parking lot will be hard surface. And you can see the lease spaces on there. They're designated.
All right.
This
Thank
is
you.
his
Oh, I'm
landscaping
sorry.
plan. Sorry, landscaping plan. And these are the elevations of the building. That's a color rendering there on the wall. And then this is the color rendering. So they're proposing metal wall panels and brick for the exterior of the building. Some of the uses that they would like to attract would be a medical clinic, a veterinary office, maybe a sandwich shop, coffee shop, donut shop, anything that would fit into the C2. And all of those uses that they listed would be allowed outright.
So, I mean, they not asking for a shoe store, but they want one.
No, they're not specifically, that's just what they labeled the drawing as. It would be retail, so if they got a shoe store, it could go there. So there was a previous request to rezone the property in 2006 from RE1 to P1, which did get approved. And then there was another request to rezone 1 acre of this property to C3 in 2016, and that was denied. Mr. Torres is here today if you have questions for him.
Let's just move on and we'll get to the part of setting.
Okay, these are views of that property. It's right next to the convenience store on Holly Bush. And these are surrounding. And, you know, there is a residential home on the P1 property that adjoins it to the east. He would be required to have the appropriate screening there from that use if it was approved.
How do you get to that home?
Have a drive.
There's a
Is this
driveway.
another drive?
Okay,
I got you.
No,
You say there is a home on that parcel,
there is. Mhm.
and they intend to leave it there if this is approved?
It's not on his 2 pieces, it's on the adjoining one to the east.
Oh,
So he'll
gotcha.
adjoin a residential
Grandfathered in on that.
house to
All
the
right.
east.
All right.
All right, let's move to the next section.
All right, so that would be to set the public hearings, please.
All right, I'll make the motion to set all 3 of these public hearings.
All right, Jay makes a motion.
I'll second.
Mr. Calhoun seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll set them for September 15th.
All right, so next is site plan architectural review for Best Choice Storage LLC. This is at 3055 Highway 80. Luke and Amy Gatlin are proposing construction of an 11,250 square foot storage facility on this property. It's a 3-acre parcel. It's zoned I-2. It is part of the property that was has been developed along East Business Park. That's an aerial view of the property. And this is the site plan. The site plan shows 2 buildings. They're proposing construction of Building 1. Building 2 is labeled as future development. Building 1 will be fully enclosed with 81 units. 2/3 of the building will be climate controlled.
Is
They're
this storage
proposing.
facility that was in there?
They're proposing an asphalt drive going in with a temporary limestone cul-de-sac until Building 2 is constructed. This is their landscape plan, and it shows a significant amount of landscaping along the front property line. That lot slopes to the back. And these are the elevations of the building. And and we have a color rendering. So the side elevation that will front on Highway 80 will be brick, and the rest of the building will be metal. They're saying there will be no outside storage of boats and RVs at this time. There won't be an office on site. Cyclone fence is proposed to enclose the facility. And there is an existing heavily wooded area on the adjoining residential property to the east that satisfies the screening requirements outlined in the ordinance. This is just a floor plan showing those units. And this is a view of that property. And these are surrounding. The Gatlins are here today if you have any questions for them. Mr. Parker has already reviewed the drainage information and had no comments on that.
All right. The only comment at this time I have is we've got to have some conditions. There's one, we just looked at the property nearly next to it, a storage facility on Hollywood. And we had good intentions when it went in, but the neighbors have to listen at times to people. They have rented some of them, or did rent some of them, to people that stored a car in there and would work on the car, sometimes in the night, and revving the engines up, and it's close to a neighborhood. This is not close to a neighborhood, but we can handle that later, I believe.
Okay, well, this is for the site plan architectural
Yeah,
review,
I
so
read-
today would be the day to approve that, if that's what you want to do. So if you want
Oh.
to,
You want to set conditions, we need to.
We need to set them today.
So
Okay.
I would like to, put some more vegetation along the cyclone fence that's gonna be fronting the highway.
all right,
And also do some, screening in addition to the cyclone fence, like, that either black or green, that mesh that goes with it.
yes, sir.
Not at all.
Right,
There's that
yeah,
picture.
not at all, yeah.
All right, so, both sides of the property are heavily wooded right now, and it slopes down. So would you like to hear from him and make sure
Sure.
that,
Yeah.
let him explain that, or?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You state your name and address.
My name is Luke Gatlin, 131 Dewberry Drive, which is out off the
Yep.
I'm the developer, I guess, of this little facility. Happy to answer any specific questions y'all have, or I can give you kind of an overview of my vision for it. If that's,
So the portion that you can see from the highway,
yes, sir.
what is your vision on what it's gonna look like?
This is a recent picture of it, so you can see it's got a few scattered trees. I think it was probably an old, wire fence through there. Those grew up. I would envision clearing most of those. We might leave a couple of bigger ones if it looks aesthetically,
Right.
pleasing. But, we do have a, what we consider to be an attractive landscaping plan.
Let me go back to that, if I can find it.
I'm not a landscaper
This is
myself,
it.
and so I'm going by, what the
Right.
consultants have recommended to us.
What are those circles right there? Is
Those
that-
are trees.
Okay, I got you.
Says
Represent
red
trees.
maple.
They've recommended a couple of magnolias,
Okay.
and then I think one or two maples, and then some shrubs and flowers.
So that's the only portion that's viewable from the highway.
Highway eight,
Yeah.
And so the angled part along the front is the frontage.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's Renee mentioned, but it currently, is on I-2 for heavy industrial use.
Yeah.
And as far as, noise and so on, I wouldn't anticipate that. Certainly be a lot less noisy than a, lumberyard or something like that going in there. The only house that's in proximity, there's one across the road from it, and then one slightly to the east, that's behind a thick screen of trees. I have no intention of letting people have 24-hour access to do anything they want. Most of these facilities have hours, where you can access your 6 a.m. through 9 p.m.
Yeah.
or something like that. It's not 24 hours for somebody to get numbers.
The problem, whenever you don't have an on-site manager, and it's available 24 hours, can lead to things going on that even you didn't anticipate.
We do plan to eventually add an on-site event
Yeah.
at some point, but it's too small, it's one building.
Yeah.
It's not
I'd just like to suggest, when you do your cyclone fence, like I said, incorporate some type of mesh.
we're open to whatever fencing y'all feel is most appropriate. We can do, we talked about sort of bow wrought iron, like
Yeah.
Yeah, well, if you wanna do that, that's fine, and I think, all those trees are gonna grow up, and that's really not gonna provide any cover for the lower portions, so maybe some, miniature magnolias or something that'll be bushy, and stay low. So, cause as these things age, they don't look real good, so the best you can put lipstick on it, better off we'll all be.
Well, like I say, I anticipate the portion facing Highway 80 to be, brick and hopefully attractive. And if we get the second building, we might be able to put an office in there that, be facing the public and looking at
Gotcha.
a full office
All right.
space. But if y'all,
Let's
y'all tell us what you want.
let's set the hours like you said,
Okay.
and have a secure type atmosphere as far as who can come and go. Help me out, Craig and Renee, what else do we need? I think the hours would be great.
I hate to
I know.
tell you now, I haven't researched kind of what's real common. I know it wouldn't be 24/7.
Well, if we
In
could
there.
say 5 o'clock in the morning, no later than 10 o'clock at night, and then you work within those parameters.
I think that'd be acceptable. Yes, sir.
I'd also suggest we get a copy of any regulations or rules that would be
Yes.
considered for how he's gonna regulate customer activity. And it could be that what he comes up with as the rules and regulations are completely acceptable to us. But
Yep.
we would just have an understanding that we'd like to see those rules.
Yeah.
I can think of one that you addressed, which is, hey, you're not gonna be allowed to essentially to perform a business function out of one of these units.
Correct.
Right?
And there are very common
Yep.
guidelines for these facilities, no dangerous chemicals. We don't want anything that ruins the facility either, and having somebody in there 24 hours a day is certainly not in the
Yeah.
norm at all.
I'd just like to see the proposed rules and regulations, and we can certainly address those with you guys
Yep.
when we get a chance to look at them. But that would be a condition that you guys accept the proposed rules and regulations to go along with what you've introduced as additional screening.
Would it be any outside storage or everything would be?
I have no plans for that. No,
Okay.
sir. We have extra space, but the plan is to do additional buildings with that
Okay.
if the first building actually, rents up acceptably.
So this building, is it gonna be, heated and cooled?
This
2/3 of it will be. yeah.
2/3? Oh, wow.
So 1/3 of it, it's a hybrid building. The long face facing west will have kind of your standard doors. That's the image she showed. But the rest of the building will be climate controlled with an interior hallway. So, and
Okay.
people like having air
Yes,
conditioning.
oh yeah. This,
Yeah.
but as our population grows, people need a place to store it. And this is a good location. It sounds like that you want a
We
good
wanna have
atmosphere.
A good, attractive, well-run
Yeah.
facility,
Yeah.
be a service to the community.
You might could even get you a room up there, Steve.
We won't allow anybody to live there, will you?
You have to pay extra for that.
Yeah. All right, thank you very much.
Good luck.
Do I have a motion? We need to accept this.
Well, that's correct. We need a motion to approve the architectural review as
Okay.
presented with the
Motion approved.
conditions.
Second.
All right, Jay makes a motion, Calhoun seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right,
Mr. President, we're at that part of our planning commission agenda that addresses nuisance property considerations. The first item under nuisance property is Scott and Jennifer Clark nuisance property at 423 Oak Lawn Drive. This is a District 3 property. I'll ask Mr. and Ms. Clark or anyone on their behalf to please step forward and be prepared to address the board. Renee will demonstrate with the photos.
All right, so, we received a complaint on June 27th about the grass in the backyard being overgrown. Kathy took these pictures on June 27th, showing the condition of the property at that time.
Ma'am, would you state your name and address?
Jennifer Clark, and I live at 110 Queenswood Drive. We are married still legally. We've been separated since Father's Day of 2021. I paid last year almost $500 to have that backyard cleaned up. And he lives there currently, and has refused to clean it, so.
All right, well, these are the new pictures that were
Yeah,
taken.
he just had someone clean it up Sunday.
Well, that's great, because I've talked with the HOA out there, and they've been trying to
Yes.
get it done, and, I mean, I appreciate y'all, or whoever cleaned it up, and we just need.
It was a neighbor.
Looks good.
A neighbor did it?
Mhm.
Wow. Would he help me with mine?
Who resides there? Do you live there, or? is
No.
it-
No, my soon-to-be ex-husband lives there.
Okay, all right,
Soon to be.
all right, so he'll be the next one if it comes up again.
No, he's not here.
Well, I'm saying,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, if he's living
Well,
there.
our, plan is to sell it,
Okay.
Okay.
to get it on the market. It was on the market,
Yeah,
I
that
think
will
in-
improve the selling price.
exactly.
Well, yeah.
His excuse for not doing it was because there was dog stuff in the backyard and he didn't want to step on it.
We appreciate
Oh,
you
Lord. Yeah.
cleaning it up and taking.
All right, well,
Yeah,
this
that's
is
the garage. We had a storage
Oh.
unit back there. He emptied the storage unit. and
Might
this
better
is
get
the
the door
result.
shut.
Yeah, I'd make sure and keep that shut.
Yeah.
The HOA's only complaint they had was the neighbor, I guess, right
Both
across.
neighbors.
And being y'all got that, I mean, I think that will make the HOA happy and make me happy.
And the next complaint's gonna be that green truck. It's been sitting there for about 6 months, doesn't move.
All right.
Was it tagged and titled?
It belongs to his dad.
Did it run?
No,
Oh, it doesn't?
he broke it.
Okay. Well,
Well,
His
we-
dad lives in Covington County.
Do we wanna handle that while we're here, just
was
separate?
this part of it, Kathy?
well, this gonna be
It
put
wasn't
on
the
her, it's
original
not her.
complaint.
Well, it's her
She
dad,
actually told
that's
me
what I'm
about it yesterday when I went out there
Yes.
and met her to look at the backyard.
Okay.
Well, that's really.
We didn't
Well,
reference it.
yeah.
We did
later.
not reference it.
Replace.
The tag went out, I
Alright.
believe, in April.
Just let it be known that if we have a complaint, and I think we're hearing some from ourselves about a non-operable vehicle, then we'll be back.
Right.
I assume it's gonna come back.
It's not completely an eyesore yet, but the tires are going flat,
Okay,
so
The
that,
HOA hadn't said anything
All
about
right.
it. The
All right,
only
let's
thing
just
they
leave it
complained
alone.
about was the
okay,
yard.
well, we'll,
Yeah.
hopefully y'all get it ready and get the place ready and sell it.
I'm hoping to
and,
get it sold soon.
Good
Okay.
luck on it.
Thank you.
We're all,
All right, what do you wanna do, Mr. Calhoun?
take no action.
Yeah.
Just, okay.
We don't have to have a motion at all. Steve will close the public hearing and the record will reflect that no action was necessary. Mr. President, with your permission, we'll move to item 2, which is the Elizabeth Lois Lane Properties LLC. This is nuisance property consideration 988 Michelle Drive. This is District 3 property. I'll ask Ms. Lois or anyone on behalf of Lois Lane Properties to come forward to be prepared to address the board. Renee will demonstrate with photos.
So we received a report about this property in May of '23. The complaint was about the abandoned manufactured home and the grass. We've had this property through the years also, but it's changed hands now. Miss- So these pictures were taken May 10th,
Lady sprayed it.
and these are the new pictures that were taken yesterday.
What about the home?
It needs to be demolished.
Well, then we need to,
It's not livable.
No.
Oh,
we need to get it
At
removed.
least they got, I mean, the yard looks a little better.
yeah. How big, how much land's there?
This property is one lot in Robin Hood, and this property goes along with the next nuisance. When, Mr. Gibbs sold the properties to this Lois Lane property, they only changed one name, or one parcel on the deed, so.
So it's not big enough to be justify us clearing it up.
Can we,
Well, it
I
is,
guess we can make it,
they'll do it, so. if
make
we-
a motion to declare it a nuisance.
I mean, if they'll do it, yeah, I'm just saying.
If we know that the property is titled in this LLC, you're gonna have to act on this one. It's that we have to take action against the owner of the property under our nuisance consideration. So, I understand that there
Is
may
anybody
be
here?
some
Nobody's
confusion
here.
about
Is
that.
anybody here to speak on this?
Is there
particular-
anyone representing Lois Lane LLC? Okay,
Okay.
so let's take action on this and we'll declare it a nuisance. And I think we send it up to justice court and allow that process to take place,
Can we,
right?
make that motion, but will you inform them that it needs to be gone if they want to avoid going to court?
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll second, or y'all
All right,
already
good.
made
I
a
made a
motion.
All right,
Yeah.
Calhoun makes motion to declare it a nuisance, Jay seconds it. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes to declare it a nuisance.
Mr. President, the last item under nuisance is Billy Joe Gibbs nuisance property, Michelle Drive, District 3. So I believe, are you Mr. Gibbs? All right, Ms. Gibbs is present, so Ms. Renee will demonstrate the photos.
And so, this complaint was received at the same time as the other one. It's the portion of the lot that he, maintained control of. The complaint was about grass and weeds, and, there used to be an in-ground pool there that I think he did away with some years ago, but they're saying bugs and mosquitoes still are coming from the in-ground pool. So these are views of that property. And these are the new pictures that were taken yesterday.
This is just property, nobody's living on this property, right?
No, sir, it just adjoins the
Joins
mobile
the-
home.
There was a swimming pool on it, I don't know if it's filled in or.
You Mr. Gibbs?
I'm Mr. Gibbs.
Yeah, come on
Come
up.
on up. It looks a lot better.
Mr.
I know this
Gibbs,
property.
state your name and address first.
I'm Billy Joe Gibbs,
Yes.
101 Gibbstown Road, Lawrence, Mississippi.
Go ahead and tell us what's transpired with this property. Tell us what's going on with the property.
Well, I owned the property and I lived there for years and then I moved off.
Okay.
And it grew up and, I had Johnny Pack to go out there and clean it up. Charged me $800 to clean up both.
Woo!
Yeah,
So you cleaned
Both
up where the
sides.
trailer was also? Where the trailer that we just declared a nuisance?
uh-huh.
Okay. But you don't own that though, do you?
I don't own any of that anymore. I sold both lots to this
LLC?
LLC, I suppose.
So you don't even own
I
the,
don't
wait,
own it.
you don't own either one of them?
No,
So why are you here?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. I thought I was through with,
Yeah.
Let our community
All right,
development tell us
yeah.
what's going
They
on.
have two different parcels.
I thought I was through with it when I sold it, you know. But then I got a letter from y'all saying I need to come to this here and so.
All right, let's find out. Ms. Kathy, what do we know? What do we think we know?
Okay. He sold the property to Lois Lane Properties. The Lois Lane changed the tax roll for the mobile home parcel. Did not change for the pool parcel. Where he
See,
owned.
this is lot 74.
Is there a pool there?
It's an old pool there.
It
I
is still
I
there?
put a top on it.
Is there top, okay.
Hold on, hold on. Have you got a copy
We'll
of the
have to
deed
look for that.
of Mr. Gibbs that I could look at right quick? Do we know?
An updated deed?
I don't think it was.
All right, so what needs to happen, gentlemen, before we do anything on this? I want you to table this to give me a chance to go through the land records and find out who is actually responsible, okay? Mr. Gibbs is telling us he thought he was through, because he thought he transferred all of it
In that
to
part of-
somebody else. I wanna find out, did he
Or
do
the
that?
diamond board, maybe
Or
the
did
deck
he
back
get
there.
fooled into thinking he did that? So let's try to find that out. I'd ask you to table this and we will reset it to 30 days. I'd also ask that unless it is clear from my review that Mr. Gibbs still has some interest in the property, that he be relieved from ever coming back up here to deal with this.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm telling you, Mr. Gibbs, I'm gonna look at the land records, and if it's clear you transferred ownership, we don't need to see you anymore. Don't drive up here from Tylertown again or wherever.
You might try to get your.
Did you, and you,
Get your
and you
$800.
cleaned it, you cleaned this up?
Johnny
He
had
pays
Johnny Pack to clean it up couple, 3 years ago.
Okay,
Everything on this.
But
okay.
it's grown back
And
up.
then right after I had it cleaned up, I put it up for sale.
I got you.
These people bought it,
Okay.
and I was thought of David, you know.
Yeah, I think you
We're
are.
gonna find out.
We think you are. We hope you are. Yeah. I'm glad. Appreciate you coming up though.
I'll make a motion to table this for
I'll
30
second it.
days and let Mr. Slade work out the details.
I'll second it. Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Appreciate it. Hey,
Thank you,
hey,
sir.
had to come up.
Renee, we'll set it for September 20th. It's tabled to September 28th. Is that our plan?
Yep.
Commission date?
charge this meeting, you have
Yes.
to call the vote.
All
I
right,
made a motion in a second.
any
Table
further
this.
discussion?
Oh,
Not
all right.
all in favor, say aye.
sorry.
All opposed?
Okay. Motion passes to table this. I was, studying the deed, or lack of deed. All right, we're through with that section. Next meeting be held Thursday, September 28th. Make a motion, or do I have a motion to adjourn?
So
our
moved.
planning?
Second.
All right, Jay makes a motion, Jared seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. We have adjourned out of the planning commission. Now, let's go back into our Board of Supervisors meeting. And do we have any other public comments?
Yeah, I'd like for Mike Harris to come up and give us a public comment on Greenfield Circle.
Okay,
I should have done it when the news media was in here, but
They wouldn't report.
You want me to look at Greenfield Circle? Evaluate it, Brad, and, so the road consistently somewhere around 21 foot average. Road average is 21 foot. Speed limit on the road is 25 miles an hour. There's 4 or 5 signs posted on the road, throughout the road, with the speed limit on it, a mile and about a quarter long. So we've got ample amount of signage out on the road. We've got, curb signs, and I think the complaint was with, speeders and low shoulders, there is some low shoulders on the road. To acquire the low shoulders, we will have to acquire more right of way. I looked at it, we don't have the right of way to acquire, to have to put shoulders on the road. So we'll have to acquire some more right of way, and there'll have to be power lines and water lines moved.
Like road construction.
That further.
I mean, the complaints I'm getting is people going too fast on that road. People are not paying attention, and when they run off, they're in a ditch and stuck. I mean, I know there's been a few accidents, but it's hard for me to see somebody driving the speed limit at 25 rolling a vehicle.
Yeah. Well, come down Hickory Ridge, Pierce Road, same thing.
I think the problem is, I mean, it's a low traffic road, you know. I was out there yesterday, I mean, 2 or 3 cars come by, but, I mean, speeding seems to be the issue on the road.
Maybe, did you mention utilities, Mike?
Yeah.
All right, but, I'm sorry, I was. Additional right of way needs to be required. Additional right of way.
Additional right of way, but to do that, utilities will have to be moved, the fire lines and the water line is in there.
Major road construction.
I've asked him to look into what would, just a price or a survey or whatever as far as grubbing, because there's big trees right up against the road on this.
Right, so, not necessarily the grubbing, but if we're gonna do what I would call a shoulder and drainage project, I totally agree with Mike that, you're gonna need some additional right of way. Mike could relocate some ditch. Slightly, not enough to make a difference when somebody's driving 60 miles an hour. But, you know, just to do the drainage part of it, We ran some really rough numbers, and you're talking about probably over $1 million to do the whole road, just because of, and I'm including utility relocations in that, because the power line is right behind the back of ditch, which, if you're gonna move the ditch at all, we can't have the power line in the ditch, so, you're gonna have some significant, utility relocations there. That's a lot of the cost there.
Which one of our friends has those utilities?
That'd be Greenfield Water and,
Thank you.
Southern Pine.
Southern Pine, okay.
But they've got a major feed line going
Yeah.
down that road, correct, on that substation.
Yep.
Well, this is sort of a description of a lot of county roads that are, if it's not posted, it's 35 miles an hour.
Well,
This one's
25.
posted as 25.
25 is what,
I just
So-
want to give you an update on what we found and discovered out there. So,
All right.
that's where we're at on it.
Was the road damaged like the picture was showing?
Less than a quarter inch. I measured this morning when he on and measured, it just peeled micro off, and we'll patch that back this week. The picture looked worse than what it was.
Alright.
Yes.
sir, did you sign in on a public comment?
No, sir, but I'm complaining.
Okay, what,
I'm the one that lives on the road.
Please come up and just state your name.
I'm Elmo Townsend. I live at 1152 Greenfield Circle. I'm a retired trooper. I work that road. I run radar on that road. The average speed on that road is approximately 40 miles an hour. Now, there are some people that do 60 down that road, and I've wrote my share of tickets when I worked for the Highway Patrol for people speeding on that county road. But the problem isn't that. I'm the type of person that I don't complain about something, I do something about it. I walk up and down that road 2 times a week, and I pick up the trash on that road myself. And I know the condition of that road, because I'm up and down it, all the way from the church to my house, past my house. And the problem is, the road bed is given away. The road bed is substandard. And you're thinking that these cars are speeding, causing the cars to flip. I've worked enough accidents, and I've sat there and watched on my camera at least 3 wrecks that's happened in front of my house, and that's not the case. The case is, people run off that shoulder of that road, it snatches them down, they have to really overcorrect to get back up on the road. When they do, the car goes into a yaw, and it's all over with except hitting my trees. Plain and simple.
I mean, I know, I don't think you've ever contacted me or called me.
One of my neighbors has, and to be honest with you, sir, and I'm just a straight up guy, they weren't too happy with the response that they got from you. You know, they were told by you, and I haven't talked to them personally, so it's hearsay, that you told them that road was wide enough for 2 18-wheelers to go side by side down, and that's not the case. You can't get 2 18-wheelers to go down that road. Now, the other problem that we got is since they worked 468, repaved 468, people have learned that that is a cut-through road.
Yeah.
And they're taking that road to bypass all the traffic on 468 now to go to work to get from 18 to 469 and 468. The traffic has increased. It's not a low-traffic road at all. Like I said, I don't know where he's sitting at, but if he comes and sits on my front porch, and I've asked him to come by, I've asked him to call me, I've asked him to come by, and I've yet to see him or hear a phone call from him. But if he sits on my front porch in the morning with me, he can see the amount of traffic and the school traffic. My neighbors won't even let their kids stand out next to the road because of the traffic on it. You cannot pull out of our driveways because if you back out, you're going to wind up in the ditch across the road. You can't back a vehicle out. You can't swing into your driveway if an oncoming car, because you'll have to get into their lane to swing out to get into our driveways. And that's the complaint with all the neighbors up and down my road.
you're saying driveways that are on the same side as you're turning? You have
Yes,
to
sir.
get up.
You cannot swing into your driveway.
Can we do this, Mr. Townsend? You may not have, somebody signed in, Elmo Townsend.
That's me.
Okay, so you are signed in. I know who you are now, and I respect you and your service. Thank you for that. Mike, Tim, can y'all put some attention, somebody go out and meet with this man? I don't know what we can do. We looked at another road similar to this, but the engineer and road manager, y'all see if there's a way economically that we can do something, and I think I'm understanding what he's talking about with the shoulder. It's probably similar to one of the
But
roads
the
that
problem
we,
with some of the shoulders out there, Steve, is,
I know.
I mean, it goes from asphalt to a
We-
ditch. and
that's
I mean,
Same
you
way-
can't get no-
we looked
So
at
many
one,
roads in the county are, same way.
but at
Well,
least go visit with him and see
Certainly
if there's,
those-
and
Yeah.
see what
I'd like-
options we have, okay?
If we
You
can,
think some of the traffic will lighten up when they do get through with 469?
No, they're through with it. These people have learned it now, and they're using it. The other problem we got is people from Greenfield Station, and I've complained a couple of times about this. They've done made their own road alongside the emergency road that was put in, required by y'all, and they come up through that and get on Greenfield Circle. They're using the right-of-way, the power right-of-way
but they
as
got
a
a
road.
gate there, don't they? Isn't it a gate on the back?
There's a
side?
gate, but they've made their own road to the left of it. And they just go through the ditch and the Jeeps and stuff, and they come out there, and then they get mud all up and down the road
Can
when
we
they
fix
do it.
that?
If they're crossing our right of way, we can put a stop to that.
Yeah, we
We
make
can
it
have
help
that.
that,
And-
yeah.
You know, the neighbor that lives alongside that road tried to do something about it, and all they did was get inside that gravel road and slung gravel all over in his yard. They tore up that emergency road, the entrance to it.
Wow.
And if he was out there yesterday, he would see where they're taking those four-wheelers and stuff, and they're doing donuts right there on that entrance.
I like we need to get the sheriff out there.
And again, yeah, I know his hands are tied. The sheriff's department can't run radar. I could run radar because I could, so long as I'm in the state of Mississippi and I'm going from point A to point B, I can run radar. And when I was going to and from the house on a regular basis, I would do that. But the average speed down that road is about 43 miles an hour. And,
Well, MHP won't let you come back part-time. Help us out.
I've earned my pay, and I'm ready to just sit at the house and collect it. And like I said, you know, I worked enough fatalities. I worked over 20-something fatalities on the highway patrol, and I don't want to see them at my front door. And that's what I'm seeing. And, you know, these cars are flipping. They're hitting my trees. I've got dead trees in front of my house from where the cars have hit them. I'm going to start up a little emblem on the trees. I already did, of all the cars that it's killed out there. Not people, but the cars. You know, we've had several fatalities on that road.
Well, I mean, you know it's gonna take a lot of money.
Yeah,
a lot of
I understand that, but
taxpayer
it'll only
dollars.
take just a little bit. If y'all can just put a little bit of a shoulder on there, you know, just a little bit. Fix where the drop off is over a foot on the shoulder of that road, where the road has eroded away into the fog line. Fix that stuff. You know, I sit inside of my shop and I hear 4 or 5 cars a day run off that road, and I always go down there to see if someone else has done wrecked. You know, it's just a constant, 4 to 5 vehicles a day. If a vehicle's pulling a trailer, that trailer's gonna come off that road. If there's another car coming, they gotta get over, the road's not wide enough, they gotta move over, and their trailer comes off the road. And I've sat there and seen cars blow rims completely out running off that road.
Do you have issues with 18-wheelers traveling that road?
There are some, especially when they was doing the paving, yeah, the 18-wheelers were coming down through there, you know, trying to bypass the asphalt on 468.
Because that shouldn't even be a truck-free road, should it?
You see them every once in a while, but yeah, they do go up and down that road. But like I said, the roadbed itself is given out. And if you want to walk down there, Mr. Calhoun, meet me over there and walk that road like I do 2 times a week picking up the trash,
Here's my
I can
card.
show you.
Take my card and just shoot me a text or an over or whatever, and I get with you.
All right, Mr. Townsend, thank you.
You're welcome, Mr.
We,
Gibbs.
Thank you.
I think we'll have somebody in touch with you, and y'all, Tim, Mike, Brad, I'm sure bring this back before us. All right, thank you. Are there any other public comments that we've not covered? All right, we're gonna move on to, Ms. Caroline Gilbert. Good morning.
Morning.
All right, I'll be quick. All I have is item A, petition for change of assessment on 2022 personal property assessment roll.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
Daniel makes a motion.
Second.
Jay seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Slay?
Yes, sir. Gentlemen, this is a follow-up. This is ratification of the emergency declaration that you guys undertook on the 25th involving non-repairable damage to a traffic control device or devices caused by a motor vehicle accident at Old Fannin Eagle Drive. We had a motor vehicle collision that put that traffic light out completely, knocked it offline, and so there was a need to get it back online, and the control equipment for that had to come from in a hurry, and so we needed that emergency declaration. Y'all graciously agreed, and so this is just simply that declaration being ratified and authorization to take all actions necessary to make that repair.
All right, do I have a motion?
So move.
Jared makes a motion. I second the motion. Any other discussion?
Yeah, so are we gonna get, is their insurance company gonna pay for this?
Yes, sir. I've already made contact with the at-fault driver.
Okay.
And requested that they provide the documentation, the accident report and other things to their carrier. And so I anticipate that we'll make a full recovery on that, but that's already in process.
Good job, Mike.
Yep. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Mr. President, item B under my section is authority for me to execute a mediation agreement associated with a lawsuit against the local water association. You guys recall the court requested that the parties attempt to resolve the matter. That has been scheduled. The mediator has been selected by agreement of the parties, and now we have to enter into an agreement that is associated with mediator services. And so this is an agreement that I need to execute on your behalf so we can get that done.
Make a motion approved.
Jared makes a motion.
Second.
Jay seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
I will need executive session, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Mr. Hicks?
Good morning.
Mr. Hicks, why do you not come to this? I mean, this is just, is it personal?
Craig won't let me out.
He never comes up here. I think he don't like,
He likes the microphone.
Mr. Hicks.
He's got too many papers
You don't
spread.
have to. I know your age.
Shamed him into it, Steve.
Items A and B will kind of tie in together, so if you'll bear with me through item A. Item A is authorization for the board attorney, Mr. Slay, to withdraw a claim that we have pending with CNA Surety on behalf of the Human Resource Agency. We'd like to withdraw that claim.
Second.
All right. Jay makes a motion. Daniel seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
All right, item B is authority for myself to take any and all actions necessary and execute any and all documents necessary and make any reports, notifications necessary to terminate and close out all operations, accounts, books, and records of the former Rankin County Human Resource Agency. And this is going to end that agency once and for all.
Yeah, you and Craig took care of that.
Yes, sir.
Here we go.
Well, we are, I think all of us are Republicans, and reducing government spending is,
Jay never thanks us for the 600 grand we just put in the pocket of taxpayers.
700.
all right,
700 grand.
do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
All right, Mr. Calhoun makes a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Jay seconds it.
Oh, it's dead, so, you know, might as well close the books.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Item C, I'd kind of like to table until after we've had our executive session, which I do need executive session with
All right.
personnel.
Okay. Item D.
Item D, if there's any questions on the consent agenda or the agenda for Tuesday's meeting upcoming.
I'm sorry, but I just looked at it this morning.
All right.
I do have a question.
Yes,
John, you were denied for the Cooper Wood? The,
Let me, can I address that?
okay.
So, the basis for the denial, Jay, is that the city has not approved their request for tax exemption.
Yeah.
And we need the direction of the board to whether or not the county is going to approve something that the city has not approved. Okay?
All right.
Keep in mind, we collect the taxes for both the city and the county and the school district.
Right.
And so when we got exemptions in play and you guys authorize an exemption, you can't authorize an exemption on behalf of the city.
Right.
Right? So there's a loose end here. We don't typically get exemption requests that haven't already gone through, if they're inside of a city, that haven't gone through the municipal exemption process. And we get that, yeah, the cities. Flowood. This is Flowood, yeah. So this is unusual. The request is unusual because we don't find where the city has acted on it, and we don't know whether the owner of the property has even made application.
But there are times that we've done exemptions, or they've done exemptions where we don't. The
Yes.
cities are doing
Yes.
exemption and we don't do it, so, you know,
Sure.
it won't be the end of the world.
You guys will address it on
Okay. I
Monday
just
when it
saw
comes before
we
you.
had in there,
Yeah.
our assessor was recommending 9, so.
Well, this is the assessor's recommendation,
Okay.
and the board gets to make the decision.
All right, we'll address that September 5th.
Yes, sir.
Are you through?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming to the
All
podium.
right, we do have personnel matters.
Okay, then.
Executive.
All right, do we have any additional business to be discussed? Okay,
I do have
Motion
one
to go
matter of additional business.
sir,
You
I
want
do
it
have
now?
one matter of additional business.
You want it now or later?
you,
We can do it now, or we can do it later.
I've got a wager that we'll get through with this portion before 10:30, so you've got
You gonna make
8
it.
minutes. That's a joke.
The sole source letter.
I haven't seen that.
I got it. Yeah. I'll ask Mr. Word to accompany me.
That blows my, no way now.
I'll let you have the mic. Okay. All right, we sent a sole source letter for approval to Mr. Slay yesterday. From what I've seen of the email chain, it's approved.
Yep.
And what this is we're not asking for any additional money. We've got it in the budget to do it. We can take delivery of it, hopefully by the end of next week. All this is basically it's an attachment goes on the end of a skid steer for wildland or urban interface firefighting, our brush fires and things of that nature is what it is. But it's a sole source, so there's no, well, they're the only people that make this thing, so.
Thank you.
That's what it is.
I don't know if Mike went over this earlier this morning with me, but I think right now is really a sensitive time, and the sooner we can get it, the better, because one fire could be 5,000 acres or more. You've got it in the budget. I'm gonna tell you, if we need to add this to the agenda, I'll make a motion to add it.
What was the cost?
Mr. President,
22,000.
let me give you the language. This is to add a motion to approve a sole source item purchase
Okay,
for a firebox T3, something other. That is an apparatus that goes on a skid steer.
Correct.
So that's what you're adding,
I'm making a motion to add that to our agenda. Do I have a second?
technical.
Second.
It's the lawyer
And just so you
version.
know, not only for that, it can also, anything that's water soluble can go through it. De-icer,
I knew we was gonna go
poisons, things of
fast.
that nature, and ditch banks such as that. So I think we'll
Mike,
get multiple
I
uses of
think
that.
we're ready to approve it.
Mr. President, Ms. Flood has the precise language to include in the minutes concerning this, so I don't need to go through all the rigmarole about what you're doing now. It's just simply motion to approve sole source item as reflected in your minutes.
Well, we got a motion to add and a second. I made the motion, Calhoun seconded. All in favor? Aye. All right, the motion passes. Now do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the
Right.
motion to approve.
Calhoun makes a motion to approve. Do I have a second? I'll second it. Any other discussion?
And we do have our own, the skid steer.
We have access to a couple of skid steers. This can get in places that a tractor or a truck or something like that can't get to stop a fire or retard it. All right. We've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Any other additional business? All right, do we have a motion to go into executive session for
So moved.
litigation and personnel?
Yes, sir.
All right. Jared makes a motion.
Yep.
Second.
Daniel seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, we are in executive session, and let the record reflect